What's up, Taiwan? I'm Hsinchu with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's Vice President Lashed has met with Paraguay's President-elect Santiago Peña in the South American country's capital, Asunción. Lai is in Paraguay to attend Peña's inauguration later this week. He also met with the country's outgoing president, Mario Abdo Benitez, and Senate head Silvia Ovelar. Lai told the pair he would continue to work to strengthen the friendship between Paraguay and Taiwan. Back in Taiwan, the Defense Ministry says it's seen no large-scale drills by China's military in response to Lai's transit through New York on his way to Paraguay. But Beijing has condemned Lai's trip, calling him a troublemaker. To find out more about what China might do next, Leslie Liao spoke to Patrick Cronin, the Asia-Pacific Security Chair of Hudson's Institute.
With Vice President Lashed halfway through his trip, what can we expect in terms of a response from China?
Even though this is a routine visit, and even though the visit only includes, say, members of Congress and members of the business community and civil society, Beijing is still likely to demonstrate through military drills and other means of propaganda a very sharp cost imposition on Taiwan to try to demonstrate that trying to reach out incurs a heavy cost with China, and to try to show that Beijing is more serious about unification with the mainland than Taiwan supporters are about preventing a forceful unification. The way to do that, they think, is by conducting very aggressive military drills, air sorties, naval sorties, missile launches, and I expect to see a fair share of those in this month of August.
We've seen President Tsai Ing-wen meet with U.S. House speakers on both Taiwanese and U.S. soil. But this time, it's the vice president making the trip, and there's been no news of any high-profile meetings. Does that change the way China views these stopovers in the U.S.?
From Beijing's perspective, it's just a high-level visit without their sanction. Their mind seems to be made up. They're calling Vice President Lai a troublemaker. So their mind is made up about the DPP, and that's a very distressing signal, frankly, that Beijing doesn't have an open mind about the pragmatic leadership of a government, but rather predetermines, based on their own view of an individual, how that government will run.
Is there anything else that might amplify China's response to this trip?
If you look at the National Defense Authorization Act that has passed both the Senate and the House, you'll see a number of very pro-Taiwan recommendations and resolutions. Now, we'll see what passes at the end of this, but I think the congressional push for greater interoperability with Taiwan's forces, greater capacity building for those forces, including Taiwan's military forces and multilateral drills, I think all of those are signs that China is watching very closely and will want to preempt and react very harshly to. And I do expect there to be some members of Congress who, either in New York and or San Francisco, belatedly are seen as having met with Vice President Lai. So just because there's no Speaker of the House necessarily involved in this trip, I think the China intent here will be to saber rattle, to intimidate and demonstrate resolve.
That was Patrick Cronin, Asia-Pacific Security Chair at the Hudson Institute, speaking to Leslie Liao. Taiwan has accused China of disrupting trade after Beijing announced a new tax on Taiwanese polycarbonates. China's Commerce Ministry says starting Tuesday, 5 Taiwanese firms will need to pay an extra anti-dumping duty of up to 22%. China is by far the biggest export market for Taiwanese polycarbonate, a plastic used to make products ranging from phone cases to bulletproof glass. Last year, sales to China were worth over $800 million. Taiwan's Petrochemical Industry Association says the levy could have a knock-on effect on other businesses. China has been investigating Taiwan's polycarbonates since November, but the timing of the decision has raised questions of a political motive, as it coincides with Vice President Lashed's stopover in the U.S. As Chinese incursions near Taiwan rack up the cost for Taiwan's military, analysts are divided over how to best respond. John Van Triest has this report.
Taiwan scrambles its fighter jets yet again. It's a common sight for the country's military. China regularly sends out warplanes and ships near the island nation, both to probe and to try and wear down its defenses. China sees Taiwan as part of its territory and has threatened to take it by force. Just between Monday and early Tuesday, 18 Chinese warplanes and 5 ships approached Taiwan. But there's still much debate among analysts here about how best to respond to these threats from China. One plan has been to extend mandatory military service for all male citizens from 4 months to 1 year. This is due to come into effect at the beginning of 2024. But some argue this will be counterproductive, swelling brigades to the point where they'd be too cumbersome to be effective. Other military experts say conscripts would have a limited role in a war.
我们其实就编成一些守备营，然后让他们在战时只要赋予他们戍守特定区域或者特定阵地的任务，限制共军的行动，这样子来替我们的常备部队创造打击机会。
There's also disagreement over what role Pratas Island, a Taiwan-controlled island in the South China Sea, should play in the country's defense. There have been suggestions, most recently from a former U.S. congressional consultant, that Taiwan could lease the island for a U.S. base. However, even some who acknowledge the island's strategic importance doubt this will happen.
岛屿租借的可能性相对是比较低的，岛屿防卫，台湾都具有相对重要的一个地理位置。 我们可以把这一种视为台湾的筹码，类似是一种安全外交的一个总体的考量。
But Chinese incursions near Taiwan aren't stopping, leaving policymakers with tough decisions about the best path forward for Taiwan's defense. Howard Zhang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
South Korea and the United States are planning to stage their largest ever joint exercises later this month. The drills are set to take place in mid to late August and will involve tens of thousands of troops. They're meant to improve the ability of the two militaries to respond to North Korea's nuclear and missile threats. North Korea has accused South Korea and the US of escalating tensions. It says the exercises are a rehearsal for nuclear war. The country's leader, Kim Jong-un, visited arms manufacturers in recent days. He's called for his country to step up weapons production and to be ready for war. Landslides in India's Himalayas have killed more than 50 people, and the death toll is expected to rise. The mud and dirt flattened homes and cars in Himachal Pradesh state after roads gave way. Hundreds of people descended on devastated areas as rescuers scrambled to find survivors. Officials say more than 20 people are still missing. Over the past 2 years, the region has been hit by flash floods caused by heavy monsoon rains and melting glaciers, which are made more severe by climate change. Shortly after being hit by Typhoon Kanun, Japan is facing another tropical storm. Typhoon Land made landfall on the country's west coast early on Tuesday. The storm has already brought heavy rain and winds of up to 150 kilometers per hour to areas southwest of Tokyo. Nearly 800 flights have been grounded, and around 90,000 homes have lost power. Typhoon Land is expected to reach the Sea of Japan, also known as the East Sea, on Wednesday, and then continue north. Gao Hong'an, the mayor of Xinju in northern Taiwan, has denied all allegations of corruption against her and says she will sue anyone who falsely accuses her. This comes after prosecutors charged her with mishandling funds. Bing Wang reports.
Gao Hong'an, the mayor of Hsinchu, Taiwan's technological hub, is being taken in for questioning. Elected in 2022, she's just been indicted on corruption charges. A member of the up-and-coming Taiwan People's Party, or TPP, Gao is accused of padding her aides' salaries and using the extra $14,000 for her own benefits. She's also accused of altering documents to cover up the crime. If found guilty, she could face up to 7 years in prison.
高姓被告公私不分，贪图小利，为支应其他开销而操控助理薪资，榨取助理费，且饭后态度不佳，又卸责给助理，请法院妥予量刑，并宣告褫夺公权。
Gao has denied all allegations and has now ruled out filing a lawsuit against her accusers, which includes some of her former aides. She added that the indictment was politically motivated and is confident the justice system will exonerate her.
我的助理有实际的工作，不是人头，而且都有加班，那何来的所谓诈领加班费或诈领助理费？他后面，就算他今天愿意把它捐出来作为办公事务的分享使用。 请问他前面这一件事情哪里有错？
Her party's chairman and presidential candidate Ko Wen-je and her former boss, Foxconn billionaire Terry Guo, have defended her innocence. While under indictment, Gao is still able to keep her job as Xinju Mayor. But if she is found guilty, then Gao could be either suspended or dismissed from her post, depending on the judgment. A by-election would then be held within 3 months after dismissal. If the court finds Gao guilty, it could be a blow to the TPP's electoral ambitions in January 2024. It could lead to the party losing seats in the legislature and possibly losing points in the presidential polls, points a smaller party like the TPP is trying to boost. Zhang Xu and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
A drunk man has allegedly damaged the doors of a historic temple in Taipei. CCTV footage from early Monday morning appears to show the man scrubbing the door of Taipei Shiling Cixian Temple with cleaning supplies. Police say the suspect is a 53-year-old Spanish national. If found guilty of violating the Cultural Heritage Preservation Act, he could face 5 years in prison and a $600,000 fine. Now moving on to sports. A Taiwanese college basketball team has been crowned the champion at the World University Basketball Series in Japan. The National Xinju University men's team, nicknamed Griffins, prevailed after beating the Tokai University Seagulls 90-84 in Tokyo on Sunday. Though only formed in 2017, the Griffins have won numerous college league and cup titles. This includes remaining the Taiwan University Basketball Association champions for 3 years straight. Taiwan's track athletes are training hard in preparation for the Asian Games in China this September. With just less than 40 days left until the big event, I went to meet them at the National Sports Training Center in southern Taiwan. It's a hot and humid summer in South Taiwan, but nothing can stop these athletes. Taiwan's top track athletes are here sprinting toward the Asian Games that will take part in China this September. Team Taiwan's 38 representatives are here striving at the National Sports Training Center to exceed expectations and overcome hurdles. After putting in so much effort, time and determination, Coach Sun Yanzu has high expectations for Team Taiwan.
我在男子的部分，以最近跳远跟400栏，他们这个成绩应该在亚运会应该是有机会冲击奖牌了。
This year, athletes Peng Mingyang and Ling Yutang are in the spotlight. In August, Peng bagged gold at the Chengdu Universiade in the men's 400-meter hurdles. He clocked 48.62 seconds, beating the 48.70 requirement for Olympic qualification.
其实现在回想起来，其实我觉得也就是很像梦一场。跑进终点的时候，我就觉得说，我达标奥运了。其实心里是很开心的，对。那时候其实很激动。
Peng said he was happy to qualify for the Olympics and break a national record. But that training he had to do to get there was brutal.
练习真的很辛苦啊，对，真的太辛苦了。平常练习就是真的就是惨不忍睹，真的就是地狱式的折磨。
Then there's Taiwanese long jumper Ling Yutang, who broke Taiwan's national long jump record. He now hopes to bag gold at the upcoming Asian Games.
亚运目标就是最好的话，就是能站在凸台最凸的地方嘛，对，这是一定的嘛。
Earlier in July, Lin won gold with a jump of 8.4 meters at the 2023 Asian Athletics Championships in Bangkok. It's an achievement that would have gotten bronze at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Peng and Lin may be aiming for gold at the Asian Games, but both have their eyes on an even bigger prize, going to the 2024 Olympics in Paris.
真的要一起去奥运了。我们聊天的时候想说，我自己想，我本来是我自己达标，已经达标确定了，我就跟他说，你可不可以达标啊？陪我去好不好？不然我自己去可能会蛮无聊的，我会怕。然后说他要陪我去，他一定要陪我去，对。然后刚好两个都做不到这样子，就感觉还蛮开心的。
But Peng and Lin are just two Taiwanese athletes working to stand on the international stage. And it is clear that all 38 of Taiwan's team are striving for gold. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you images of Cloudgate's theater building in Danshui, New Taipei. I'm Sandy Chi. Take care and see you next time.